Hi folks, Dave, the Honest Audiophile, and today we're going to take a look at the CCA CKX. I want to thank Intuit Reviews for sending these over for a review. Do greatly appreciate it. Intuit Reviews, you rock. If you haven't already, please check out the link down below for Intuit Reviews channel and give him a subscription if you haven't already, and tell him I sent you over there. Alright, so the CCA CKX comes in this pretty standard CCA box. Take off the lid and you're going to get a little envelope with some paperwork. Your IEMs will be in there, and then inside the little accessory box you get a set of small, medium, and large tips and a typical CCA cable. You can take all of those, keep them in the box, and set it to the side. I do not really care for the stock CCA tips, and cable is kind of typical KZ, TRN, you know, all that kind of stuff. So the tips don't really fit me too well, and the cable is just janky and just falls apart. So I'm going to do something that some people have really criticized me for, and that is I'm going to recommend that you change the cable and you change the tips. And I'm going to give my recommendations. I know that some people do not like this when I do that, so plug your ears until the end of this moment. All right, so I recommend that you change the cable. I used the drop replacement 2-pin cable. I will put a link down below for that. Comes in at $30. And if you have some other 2-pin cable that works with it, cool beans, go ahead and use that one. I like the drop one. It has really good ear hooks and just feels nice and light and doesn't tangle and twist up and all that kind of stuff. And also I did notice that it did change sonically slightly. The stock cable was a little bit darker, had a little bit of sheen up top, and the drop cable fixed that. Had a little bit more air, a little bit more sparkle, a little bit more energy, but also at the same time cleared out that weird darkness sound. So it was a very subtle difference, but at the same time it was very pleasing, and I like the drop cable. Tip wise, the stock tips did not fit me. They did not, they just didn't work. It didn't sound good. Just whatever. So I used the SpinFit CP240s. Those are the ones that I actually like the best. I found that it opened up the soundstage, gave me good isolation of outside noises, and just fit me overall and was very pleasing, especially in the bass. The Ear Pro horn-shaped tips also worked very well, and I found that those were right along the same lines of the SpinFit CP240s. Just didn't have quite the soundstage on. It was a very subtle difference. And then also, if you are more of a foam person, I really enjoyed the Deconi bullets. All right, so you can remove your fingers from your ears if you were not a fan of wanting to hear about tips and stock cables. Okay, so the CKX. Here, I was just praising the cable for not getting tangled. All right, so the CKX with the SpinFit CP240 tip. I really do enjoy the shape of them. Very small, and they have a very nice angled nozzle. It's just a very ergonomic fit. The 2-pin cable is a recessed pin. Whoops. So you will need to keep that in mind if you are going to replace your cables. And I find that when they go in my ears, they just disappear. They are just extremely comfy. And they just fit right in and disappear. They seal outside noises extremely well. And I find that they can be worn for hours. And I mean hours on end. And that's a really good thing, because it means they're non-fatiguing in the sound. Speaking of sound, they are a 7-driver hybrid 10mm coaxial composite dynamic driver, whatever coaxial composite is. And then they have 6 BAs, 3 of the 317 BA model and 3 of the 395 BA model. 7 in each side, 14 total. 22 ohms, 115 decibels of sensitivity, and 20 hertz to 40 kilohertz. Very easy to drive. Will drive off of anything. A phone, dongles, desktops, you name it. They're not very picky. They will run off of anything, literally. All right, so comfort and design is spectacular. I love the look of them, just all black, and just they're just really cool to look at. And light and just comfortable. How do they sound? The bass on the CCA CKX is just incredible. It's nice and deep, very well detailed, has very good details and just clarity, and it's a very accurate sounding bass. I really do enjoy it a whole lot. The tone is just right on, and they have nice, just grip you and just thump you and rumble you when called upon. But yeah, it's not overpowering and it's not demanding of your attention. It's just right where it should be. Do I think that a bass head would like the CKX? Yeah, actually I do. If it's a bass head that likes details, if it's a bass head that's all about the impact only, they will be a little bit disappointed. But if you're a bass head that likes the thump and the rumble, but also wants the details and the clarity, then the CKX is a good option. Mids are very nice and forward, not too far forward. They're not as forward as like an SSR, but they are a little bit on the more forward side. They're nice and full, pleasing, very natural sounding, very clean. They have very good tone and timbre to them. And I just find that they're just very engaging and just very pleasing. One little gripe, if you're using stock tips, the upper mids are more forward and it will become a little shouty and a little aggressive. When you change out the tips and you change out the cable, that area becomes a little more tamed and a little bit more well controlled, and you lose that harshness and that forwardness a little bit. And I just find that it's more balanced and cohesive. Treble wise is nicely extended. You have good air, good energy, a nice bit amount of sparkle, but not too much. Again, with the stock cable and stock tips, that does come into play and tends to be a little bit harsh and a little bit too much. But when you change out the tips and the cable, it becomes very well controlled and has a nice presence to it, even though it is still a little bit on the aggressive side. And that's just a tendency of the CKX. It's a very detailed, and it's a very much a smaller stage with intensity in the detail portrayal. Think of ZSX portrayal, but not quite as intense. Soundstage wise is on the intimate side. I wouldn't say it's a closed in sound, but it is just kind of an average width, but it does an excellent job in depth and layering and does a really good job in placement. And you can really pick apart a soundstage and you can determine where people are seated, and there's no gaps. Everything just travels right across as it should. And it does an extremely good job in that area. It's just wish it had a little bit more width to it. The CCA CKX is not very picky, as I said, about sources. Played extremely well on the Spectra X from NextDrive. The X Duo Link also, just both of them sounded very nicely. The Sony NWA 105 also did an exceptional job of powering it. And in fact, that was my favorite pairing. I really do enjoy the Walkman with the CKX. I found that it was just a very pleasing and enjoyable sound. And I just could listen to it for hours on end and just forget about what I was doing. I'd just be sitting there on the couch just chilling. So the CCA CKX does a very good job of just playing with everything. It's just extremely easy and not picky at all when it comes to amps. How does it compare to the Tin Hi-Fi T3? Now the Tin Hi-Fi T3 is the same price, and I find that the T3 is my favorite of IEMs in this price point. And the CKX gives us a run for its money, and it's so hard for me to choose which one I like. They're extremely close. The only real differences are the T3 is a little bit brighter on the treble side, and it has a wider soundstage. But in my opinion, the T3 does a better job in tone and timbre. The CKX may have a slight edge in resolution of details, but I mean, it's like very subtle. And so I'm kind of, you know, I'm like, I honestly, I'm happy with both. And I love both of them to the point of I I can't decide, so I have to have both. Now, here's the other problem. I have to return the CKX to Intuit Reviews, and I really don't want to. So Intuit Reviews may have to wait a little bit longer before he gets these back. Seriously though, the CKX and the T3, they're very similar. It depends on what you're looking for. CKX, if you want a little bit more intimate soundstage with a little bit more intensity into details being portrayed. And the T3, if you want a little bit wider of a soundstage and a slightly better improvement in tone and timbre. That's the easiest way to explain it. It's been Dave, the Honest Audiophile. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video. Speaking of next video, somewhere on the screen, subscription links and notification bells. If you haven't already, please check those off. And then check out the links down below for how you can contact Intuit Reviews. Make sure you give them a subscription and tell them that I sent you over there. And then also there's other things down there as far as how you can follow the channel, support the channel, and how you can contact the channel, gear that's recommended, playlists, all kinds of good stuff. So check out the links down below, and I will I will catch up with you on the next video. It's been Dave, the Honest Audiophile. Thank you very much. Have yourself a great day.